Let me tell you what I see when I look at your energy right now. I see someone who could level a room if they decided to, who carries a particular kind of power that is not loud, not performative, not announced in advance, or dressed up in aggressive packaging. It is just there, quietly, underneath everything, the way a structural beam is just there holding up everything above it without asking to be noticed or thanked. And what is extraordinary about you, what the cards confirmed the moment I opened this spread, is that this enormous amount of actual capability and actual power coexists with something that is genuinely, authentically not for performance, soft, warm, present, the kind of person who notices when something small goes wrong for someone else before that person has said anything out loud about it. That combination is rarer than you think. In fact, it is the combination that makes the Powerpuff Girls the specific reference that arrived for your reading today, because that is exactly what they are. Sugar and spice, and something that can go to war on 5 seconds' notice if the situation calls for it. Softness that does not come at the expense of power. Power that does not come at the expense of softness. Both things, fully present, fully real, not in conflict with each other at all. I want to spend this entire reading honoring both sides of that combination because I think Virgo energy tends to receive a lot of messaging about one or the other, but rarely both simultaneously. Either the analytical, precise, capable, formidable side is being emphasized, or the caretaking, devoted, quietly generous side is being named. Today, I want to name both together because that is the actual truth of what you are carrying right now. And what the cards showed me for you is built entirely on the reality of that combination rather than a simplified version of it. Let me describe what I felt the instant this energy opened, because the initial impressions were distinct and they matter. I felt brightness first, not the loud, declarative kind. The specific brightness of someone who lights up a room without announcing that they have done so, who makes the quality of the air in a space different simply by being present in it, the kind that other people notice and often cannot name precisely, but that they definitely register and definitely respond to. I felt that brightness immediately and clearly. I also felt precision. The specific, almost unsettling attentiveness of a Virgo mind fully engaged, the quality of someone who catches the detail everyone else missed, who has already thought 3 steps past the current conversation, who notices the thing that was slightly off in what someone said and has already quietly decided what that discrepancy means. That precision was present at the same intensity as the brightness, sitting right alongside it without diminishing it. And then underneath both of those, I felt something that I think is the most important thing I felt and the thing I most want to make sure you receive from this reading. I felt genuine goodness, the specific, non performed, just how they are quality of someone who is fundamentally oriented toward the well being of the people and world around them. Not because they decided to be that way or because it makes them look good, because it is simply what they are. The way a tree is oriented toward light, you do not perform toward goodness. You simply are it, and it shows whether you intend it to or not. That is who this reading is for today. Soft and loaded and genuinely good, all three simultaneously. Let us get into what the card showed. The first card in this reading arrived in the position representing your current energetic baseline, who you are and how you are showing up right now in this specific season of your life. And it is a card I want to describe with care because it is very fitting and very specific. This card shows a crowned figure seated on a throne adorned with symbols of the earth, holding a pentacle, surrounded by abundance, with a castle visible in the background and a river winding through the landscape. This is someone who has built something real, who has arrived at genuine security and genuine standing through their own sustained effort and their own real capability, not through luck, not through inheritance, not through positioning or strategy alone, but through the actual accumulation of doing excellent work over a sustained period of time. I am sensing this is an accurate portrait of where you are in your own life right now, Virgo. You have built something real. It may not yet be at the full scale of what you are moving toward, but the foundation is genuinely solid and it is yours, built by you, reflective of your actual capabilities and your actual values rather than a performance of those things for external consumption. I also want to speak to the earth element of this card and its suit because the pentacle energy here is specifically material and grounded. This is not aspirational abundance. This is actual abundance, already present, already accumulated, already real, even if you have not yet taken full stock of it because you are oriented forward toward what is still building rather than backward toward what has already been established. I want to gently redirect your attention for a moment. Look at what you have already built. It is more than your forward-oriented Virgo mind typically gives you credit for. The second card appeared in the position representing your relational energy, how you show up for the people in your life, and how they experience you. And it is the card that made me feel the Powerpuff Girls reference most strongly because what it shows is the specific combination of tender and formidable that is the entire premise of today's reading. This card shows a figure gently but firmly holding open the mouth of a lion, not forcing it, not fighting it, but simply present with something that could be dangerous in a way that renders it calm through something other than force. This is the card of genuine, quiet, unperformative strength, the kind that does not need to announce itself or defend itself or prove itself to anyone because it is simply self-evident to anyone paying attention. In the context of your relationships, I am sensing this card is describing the specific quality of how you hold the people you love. You are the person who can handle what other people find overwhelming, who can be in the room for the conversation everyone else is too uncomfortable to have, who can absorb something heavy without buckling and then quietly, steadily help someone else find their way back to solid ground. You do this not because you are performing strength or because you want credit for it, but because you are genuinely capable of it and because when someone you love needs it, it simply does not occur to you to look the other way. I also want to speak to the gentleness in this card because it is as essential as the strength and sometimes overlooked. The figure is not manhandling the lion. The contact is careful, considered. The specific care of someone who understands that real strength does not require roughness, that the most formidable thing you can do is hold something difficult with extraordinary gentleness. That is your signature in relationship. Your people know that you will not break when they bring you something hard, and they also know you will handle it with more care than they expected. Does this feel accurate to who you are in your closest relationships, Virgo? Are you the one people bring the big things to? the things they do not quite trust anyone else to hold? Let me know in the comments, because I suspect for most of you watching this, the answer is yes and has always been yes. The third card arrived in the position I read as your particular kind of power in the world, the specific quality of what you put out into the space around you and what tends to come back as a result. And this card surprised me slightly in how precisely it captured the loaded as hell part of today's title. This card shows a single wand planted upright with a flame burning at its tip and a hand extending from a cloud above, holding it aloft against an abundant sky. This is the card of pure creative fire at its origin point, of potential in its most undiluted, uncompromised form, before circumstance or compromise or practical consideration has touched it. When this appears in a reading about someone's personal power and what they put into the world, it tells me several specific things. First, your creative capacity is genuinely exceptional, not compared to a general standard and found acceptable. Genuinely, specifically exceptional in ways that people notice even when they do not have the language to name precisely what they are noticing. There is an originality to how you see things and how you render what you see that belongs to you specifically, that is not a derivation or an iteration of something someone else already did. Second, I am sensing your relationship to this capacity has not always been comfortable, because the specific beginning energy of this card suggests something that has not yet been fully claimed. There is a quality of potential that has perhaps been expressed in portions rather than in the full, uncompromised form it is capable of taking. I am sensing that whatever has kept you from claiming this capacity completely, whether that is practical caution or the Virgo tendency to see the gap between where something is and where it could be rather than the full brilliance of what it already is, that dynamic is shifting. The fire is at the tip of the wand and it is lit and it is yours to carry forward into whatever comes next. Inhale, Virgo. Because the fourth card is the one I want to give the most space to today. This card shows a figure seated on a throne of living wood and growing things, crowned with stars, holding a scepter, surrounded by lush nature in every direction, abundance literally emanating from her presence. She is not performing abundance. She is not trying to be abundant. She simply is the source from which abundance flows, in the way that certain people simply are the source from which warmth or clarity or calm flow, not through effort but through genuine nature. I am sensing this card is describing something about your energy in the world right now that you perhaps have not fully recognized in yourself, partly because Virgo tends to evaluate itself through the lens of its own high standards and to focus on what still needs to be developed rather than what is already fully present. But what is fully present in you right now, the thing this card is naming without any ambiguity, is the specific quality of someone whose presence itself generates something, whose way of being in a room or a relationship or situation creates conditions where things flourish that would not flourish without them. I also want to speak to the softness of this card, because the energy it carries is one of the most genuinely soft in the entire deck, and it coexists in this image with absolute authority and absolute abundance. This is the Powerpuff energy made explicit in the cards. Not softness despite power, not power despite softness. Both things emanating from the same source simultaneously, inseparable, mutually reinforcing, each making the other more rather than less. I want to say directly to you, Virgo, that the softness you carry is not a vulnerability. It is not a weakness that your capability compensates for. It is part of your power. The fact that you genuinely care about people, that you genuinely notice them, that your attentiveness to the people around you comes from something real rather than from social strategy, that softness is what makes your power trustworthy rather than frightening. It is what makes people want to be near what you build rather than simply watching it from a safe distance. You are not soft in spite of being formidable. You are formidable in part because of the softness. Those two things are not in tension in you. They are the same thing, wearing different faces on different days. I want to address something about how this combination, the soft and the loaded, tends to be received by the world, because I think naming it honestly is important, and I think you have had experiences that deserve to be acknowledged. People sometimes underestimate you initially. There is something about your particular configuration of warmth and attentiveness and quiet precision that can, to people who are not paying close attention, register as simply pleasant rather than as the full, specific, formidable thing that it actually is. And then those same people encounter the loaded part, the precision of your analysis, the absolute certainty of your standards, the specific unhurried confidence that comes from knowing exactly what you are about. And they have to revise their initial assessment significantly upward. I am sensing that experience of being initially underestimated and then recalibrated has happened to you more than once across different areas of your life, and that you have a complicated relationship with it. Part of you finds it mildly amusing. Part of you finds it genuinely exhausting, because it means you are regularly required to prove something that you would prefer to simply be recognized as self-evident. And there is a quiet dignity in how you handle that repetitive experience, because you do not overcompensate. You do not perform the loaded to preemptively counter the underestimation. You simply continue being exactly who you are, and you allow the evidence to speak. That restraint, that refusal to perform your power in order to avoid being underestimated, is itself one of the most formidable things about you. The fifth card arrived in the position of what is specifically building for you right now, what is accumulating and moving toward expression in your life across this current season. And it is a card I want to describe carefully because it speaks to something that is genuinely exciting in the most grounded sense of that word. This card shows a figure at the fullness of her suit, a queen holding a cup, seated on a throne at the edge of a body of water, with a quality of deep, attentive, completely self-possessed interior life radiating from the image. This is someone at the fullness of their emotional and intuitive capacity, at the point in their development where what they know about themselves, what they know about others, and what they are capable of giving and receiving are all operating at their highest simultaneous expression. I am sensing this is the destination of a development arc that has been progressing through your life for some time, an arrival at a specific fullness of yourself in both your emotional depth and your relational capacity. The arriving part of this card is significant. You are not still becoming this. You are completing the becoming. And what the card is suggesting about what this completion makes possible for you is considerable. In relationship, I am sensing you are moving into a window where the specific combination of what you are, soft and loaded and genuinely good, becomes the thing that calls towards you exactly, the quality of connection that can actually sustain you. Not connections that need you to manage everything, not dynamics where your formidable capacity is used to compensate for someone else's unwillingness to show up. Genuine, reciprocal, fully inhabited connection with someone or someones who are equipped to meet you at the level you are actually operating at. I am also sensing something about your creative and professional life in this card, specifically the quality of someone arriving at a point of genuine authority in their domain, the confidence that comes not from external validation, but from the accumulated evidence of your own actual capacity exercised over time. You are beginning to trust yourself in ways that are going to change how you move through the world in tangible, visible ways. Before I close, I want to speak to something that I think deserves to be said directly and without softening. You are a lot, and I mean that as one of the highest possible compliments available. You feel things deeply, and you think about things precisely, and you care about things genuinely, and you give things fully. And all of that happens simultaneously in a single person who somehow also finds time to notice the small things, the things no one else caught, the thing that was slightly off and that you quietly addressed before it became someone else's problem. That is a lot. A genuinely remarkable amount of person to be. And I think there are moments, probably more than you would admit out loud, when you wonder whether being this much is a little bit too much, whether the combination of all of it is perhaps more than the average life or the average relationship or the average situation can actually hold without straining under the weight. The cards today are very specifically answering that question. And the answer is no. You are not too much. You are exactly enough. You are, in fact, precisely the right amount of person for the life that is being built toward you, for the connections that are forming around you, for the impact that your particular combination of soft and loaded and genuinely good is going to have on everything it touches going forward. The Powerpuff Girls do not apologize for what they are, and neither should you. As I bring this reading toward its close, I want to leave you with what the card said today in its fullness. You are a specific, extraordinary, genuinely rare combination of soft and formidable, warm and precise, generous and powerful, and all of those things are fully present in you simultaneously right now, not in tension with each other, but in genuine partnership with each other, each quality making the others richer and more real. The world around you is beginning to reflect that combination back to you in increasingly tangible ways. What you have built is real and solid. What you are becoming is arriving. And what is moving towards you is calibrated to the full size of who you actually are, rather than a simplified version that would be easier to hold but would not actually fit. Step into all of it, Virgo. The soft part and the loaded part together. That is the whole point. If this reading landed somewhere true for you today, please share it with a Virgo who needs to hear that their softness and their power are not in competition, that both are real, and that both are exactly what is needed. And leave a comment. I want to hear how this specific combination is showing up in your life right now. I read every single comment, and I hold this community with genuine care long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo. Cute, soft, loaded as hell, and exactly enough, all at once, always.